Welcome back. Welcome to the studio. I'm very excited to have Marjan in studio with us this morning, and she's going to share all kinds of insights for us and information about an event that is coming up. It will be this Saturday, May 31st at the Manteo, and it is called the M Factor. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Nikki.
So, Marjan, can you tell me first a bit about your background?
Yes, you bet. So I've been in the healthcare field for probably over 25 years.
Okay.
I started out as a nurse and did that for many years. And then I met a nurse practitioner who really intrigued me in pursuing more education and going back and getting a nurse practitioner degree. And most of my background has actually been mostly in the acute settings. So I've been working in the hospital, really around a lot of really quite sick patients and cancer patients. And it's definitely been a very rewarding career. And then I decided to go back and get a doctoral degree in nursing because I wanted to further advance my education and my knowledge. And so I really focused on my path of quality improvement because I really appreciate when we can continue to improve care and make sure that the patients are really satisfied with what, education you're providing them and the outcomes. And so I focused in on quality care as well as patient wellness. So then when I finished that, I decided that I wanted to do something more with that.
And that brought you to this unique focus, am I correct, around women's health specifically?
Yeah, so actually it was sort of a combination of things. With my own journey with menopause is really what has driven me to focus with women's health. In my early 40s, I was diagnosed with a mass in my uterus. And I was quite worried about it because I lost my own mom at the age of 53 from uterine cancer. So, of course, I opted to have my uterus removed and have my ovaries removed as well. And unfortunately, within a short period of time, it put me into surgical menopause. So I really started having a lot of menopausal symptoms pretty quickly, where it really changed who I was. And so I was feeling really tired all the time. Sometimes I'd be challenged to get through a day's work without feeling like I really needed to lay down and rest. I would get home from work and I would feel like I just needed to lie on the couch and really struggled to get up and look after my family and make dinner or even really socialize with my friends. My mood was really fluctuating, and I had irritability and mood swings where sometimes I was screeching at my kids or I was annoyed with my husband. But I think one of the things that really got to me was my memory. I had brain fog to the point where I just couldn't remember sometimes common words, and it would really embarrass me. Sometimes even names of my close friends I would blank out and couldn't remember. And I found that I was leaving stickies around to try to help myself. And I was really afraid that I was going to get dementia. And so all of these things really changed who I was, and I struggled to find a provider who could help me. And when I did finally find a provider, he did some specialized testing for me and then started me on bioidentical hormone therapy. And that really, really helped me. Within a short period of time, I felt like myself again. I had my energy back, my memory was better, and it really changed my thoughts around hormones and bioidentical hormone therapy. And I felt like I got my old self back, and I felt like I got my life back again. But unfortunately, that provider after a bit came and said, I've got some bad news for you. I'm going to retire, so you have to find somebody else to look after you. But really encouraged me to further educate myself and see if I can help other individuals, because now I understand what they go through. And so through this process of further educating myself, I found thousands of providers around the world that practice integrative medicine. And then it really became my passion. And so I really realized that I was not alone, and that most women experience these symptoms and often feel like they're supposed to put up with it. So after I did a lot of different educational courses, I decided that the universe was pulling me to do this and to help as many individuals as I could.
Your story is so so moving, Marjan, because listening to your story, we that have gone through menopause will progress through it quasi-gradually. Mm-hmm. Your experience with your surgical or your induced menopause, surgical menopause, I feel like, and I'm not medically educated, I feel like that would be like going up to the 18th and jumping off the top of the building. Like, I can't even imagine how quickly that would have progressed, and how all of the symptoms may have come at once. And I think it's fascinating that the area of practice that you're in, you were able to pivot or adjust or begin to do this research to find answers for yourself, which is, you'd have an enormous head start on someone like myself. I wouldn't even have the terminology, but you did. So you found others that were extremely experienced and knowledgeable in this information. And then the real piece for me that stands out is the not feeling alone. And we do feel alone, and we do feel that it's just part of life, and that we just need to suck it up and carry on. So appreciate hearing from you that isn't necessarily the case.
Absolutely. That is not the case. We don't have to put up with that, and we don't have to just suffer through it. And it's not really a normal part of aging. It doesn't have to be. And I think especially being a provider and being on that side of it, and realizing that other women are feeling like this, and feeling like they have to look after their family and continue to, work towards their careers, and yet feel like this day after day, really hit home for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so the takeaway message, if you take away nothing, is that if you're perimenopause or menopause, there is hope and help and community to help you through this. It can be a shared experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that leads me a natural segue into the M Factor that you are hosting, and it's an information session.
Yes, it's really, the M Factor is a film that's produced in the United States, and it really includes a lot of experts in the field, physicians that are OBGYNs, neuroscientists. It also includes political analysts, and sort of how they have tried to bring more awareness to menopause. And so it's really a educational film. And the purpose of it is to really bring awareness to women in that there is a solution and there is hope.
So what does the event look like, Marjan? We're going to come to the Manteo, and it starts at 10 a.m. And you can register. We have it up on the screen here. You can register at radiancewellness.net/m-factor. It's a free event.
It is a free event.
And is it so what does the time frame look like? What does the itinerary look like? It's obviously a screening.
It is a
of the M
screening.
Factor?
Yes, so it starts at 10 a.m. and then we introduce ourselves. I'm actually collaborating with Derek Rodriguez, who is a co-owner of Lakeside Pharmacy. And we will introduce ourselves and then have showing of the film of the M Factor. And then we will also provide a Q&A session to answer some specific questions that may come up. So yeah, I'm super excited about this event to help bring awareness.
So this is targeted to women 40, 45, 60, 65?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, really at any age, our hormones can impact us. But really at the age of our mid 30s, 40s is sort of when our hormones start to decline. And, you know, hormones aren't the only answer in feeling your best. There's a lot of other things that I also offer in my wellness programs that includes lifestyle modifications. And
can you give me an example?
yeah, you bet. So we really hone in on, you know, sleep hygiene and stress management and eating the right foods. I don't really believe in a diet, but I do believe that if we eat the right foods that are high in nutrients and we get a proper amount of exercise, it can really also help us balance our hormones.
I find that interesting. Alexa and I just ordered the Viome test. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's a company out of the U.S. It tests your microbiome, your oral biome, and through saliva, blood, and stool samples. And then it brings to you the list of foods you should eat, your superfoods, and the foods you should avoid, and then lists out nutrients both through supplement and through food, and it's extremely overwhelming, and I don't know what to do with it. So I find it fascinating. We can try and figure out what we're supposed to eat, have, take, do, but then how do you even begin to select it? And is that part of the work that you do?
Absolutely. Really, my mission is really to provide personalized care. And so each patient that sees me, we really look at the whole person. I provide holistic care. And then when we do put together a personalized care, I always meet that patient or client at where they're at in their life. So like I always explain that it's not a flip of the switch where everything all of a sudden needs to be in place and you follow that exact regimen, because it really can't be a restrictive regimen. It has to be a lifestyle. And that's really what we work at, to try to make it a lifestyle for you so that you can get the proper nutrition without being too restricted, and you can still enjoy your life and have a quality of life, and you still focus on getting the amount of sleep that you need, and then also the exercise. I think some individuals believe that, you know, more is better, but that's not always the case.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes if we overdo exercise, it can be stressful on our bodies, and that can also increase the cortisol levels that are produced by our adrenals and put more stress on our body and make it more difficult to remain balanced.
And I think that's why it's so critically important to have a partner or a team working with you, especially around that personalized plan or care, because we are ever so unique.
Yes.
And we process things very differently, including food.
Absolutely.
And experiences. So it's good to have a partner. Speaking of partner, you had mentioned you're partnering with Derek from Lakeside Medicine Center. So what is his role in participating with you in this particular event, and I'm guessing in other situations?
Yes, absolutely. Well, Derek and I met actually through some clients that had gone to him. And I just found that so many of those clients would come back and really rave about the services there and how helpful they were and how kind they were and how much education they provided to them. And so we sort of met through that route. And then as we talked some more, we realized that actually much of our thinking was similar. We were both really into personalized care and providing a lot of education to patients. And our foremost important piece was safety for both of us. That was a really important piece for us. So we decided, I'd shared with him about M-Factor and that this was, a mission of mine to bring awareness to women around menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause. And so we decided that we were going to collaborate and do this together.
I love it. I love it. What are some of the most common myths or misconceptions that us women hold, or our families, when they hear about menopause? Like I'm even thinking of my family. It's like, oh, mom's having a hot flash. And it's teased, but it's not enjoyable.
No, it's not. And you're right. There's still a lot of stigma around it. And I think even ourselves as women, sometimes we're not always comfortable to come forward and say, hey, I'm experiencing these things that are not fun and they're not happy to deal with, and I'm not sure what to do about it. So that really makes it challenging. But for sure, there's solutions, and we don't have to continue to endure this and carry on and hope that it's going to come to an end at some point.
So the myth is, or the myth that we might be busting, is that it's not just part of aging and you don't need to just deal with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Are there non-pharmaceutical approaches you've seen or you practice that have a big impact for women experiencing this change of life?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, hormone therapy. So when we talk about bioidentical hormone therapy, it's really important, especially with cancer risk and in the context of breast cancer, it's really important to differentiate between bioidentical hormone therapy and synthetic hormone therapy. And so really a lot of the fear that has come around and the myths around treatment with hormone therapy really stemmed from the World's Health Initiative that was published in 2002.
Okay.
And so that study was really performed on synthetic estrogen and synthetic progestins. And so they reported the increased risks, and it was widely publicized, but much of the nuances of the study was lost when it was translated to the public, as well as to providers. So I think a lot of the myths and fear stemmed around that. But a lot of different research, more recent research, in fact, does not show, especially like in European studies, it does not show that there's been an increased risk of breast cancer. And in even some of them, it shows a decreased risk. That being said, hormone therapy, bioidentical hormone therapy, is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's really important to look at each individual, look at their past medical history, their current medical history, their family history, review the testing, do a physical exam. It's really important to be seen by a provider that can continue to assess you and monitor you to ensure that it's meeting your health goals as well as it remains safe.
And I can honestly tell you, I am a woman and I've gone through menopause and I've never heard the term bioidentical hormone therapy. Like, I only knew of hormone therapies, but I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so bioidentical hormone therapy, really what it is, it's structurally identical to the hormones that our own body produces. And that's the difference between it. So really, a lot of women have found that it's effective for relieving menopausal symptoms, such as hot flashes, sleep disturbances. Some women report improved quality of life, cognitive clarity, even bone health.
That's fascinating, because I think I think in general people have this belief that we're going to live forever and that nothing can harm us. And if we were able to run a 20-mile race when we were 16, we can probably do it when we're 56. Newsflash, we cannot.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating to me that this medical condition, menopause, in my personally 57 years, it has been the significant biggest game changer that has negatively impacted the quality of my life. And in so many ways. You mentioned bone health, mood, brain fog, just not feeling great.
Yeah. Not being able to feel like yourself. I think a lot of women that come to me oftentimes become very emotional because they feel like somebody's finally listening to how they're feeling. And oftentimes they'll say, I feel like I'm going crazy, or they'll say, I just don't feel like myself and I just want to feel like my old self again. Or sometimes they'll say, I just can't lose weight no matter what I do. You know.
Oh, it's so fascinating. So the how long is the event, Marjan? Because I have a feeling we could be there at the Manteo for about 7 hours and still be fielding questions from the audience.
Absolutely. So the events is about 2 hours. So the filming is about an hour. We spend some time introducing ourselves and then we open it up for some questions. But yes, it's about from 10 to 12.
Okay. And is there a benefit, and I believe there is, in having women going through this, coming together in person and conversing and sharing the knowledge that's going to be had while going through this screening and the Q&A?
Absolutely. I think that really in anything, the first step in anything that you're going to do is to be aware of it. And the filming is meant to bring awareness and to help educate women so that they can start to think about, you know, how can they get help and where can they get help, and that this is not normal and you don't have to continue to carry on feeling this way.
How many seats can be filled at the event?
Yeah, so we can have up to 200 participants. Yeah.
Okay. So my hope is that any of the listeners watching this and listening will register. As I was preparing for the event, I registered. You got my notification that I registered. I am absolutely coming to take in this event, and I'm so appreciative and thankful that you are putting on this event, you and Derek.
Yes.
And so excited to meet people right here in my community that are traveling through this and have shared learning in their experience as well. So again, how can people register for this event?
Yeah, so they can go to my website at Radiance Wellness and Aesthetics Clinic, and you can register. You could also reach out to me, and I'm happy to register you. Or you could reach out to Lakeside with Derek to register. So yeah, I'm super excited. So is Derek to do this event, and I really look forward to the future and perhaps building a community, like you mentioned, of women coming together and being able to share their thoughts and share their experiences and talk about these things, because I do feel like we have somewhat been silenced in talking about, you know, how we're really feeling, and it's not normally very well understood or accepted, it seems.
And Marjan, I wouldn't mind just going down that rabbit hole for a second. I just attended the Buck Institute in San Francisco with Dr. Peter Diamandis, and there was a number of doctors and research analysts that were speaking, and many and much of the conversation was around the lack of research and reports and studies for women's health. And I really hope that this event that you're holding will be one of many, and we can benefit from your experience and your continued learning and your connection with people that are excelling in this field, so that we can reap the rewards of and benefit from it.
I hope so too, Nikki. I'm really excited. As you know, when you share your personal history, it's always a little bit intimidating, but to be truthful, when I went to school, natural medicine wasn't always a big part of my training. And so to actually experience it and then understand what it feels like to be on that side of it and experience it, and then to be on treatment that actually was effective, really changed how I practice medicine and my beliefs. So I think that really excites me and inspires me to empower other women to come forward and to look after themselves. As women too, we spend our whole life looking after others, our children, our careers, but sometimes we lose ourselves in that.
That's so true.
Yeah.
We're low on the list. We're
bit.
busy taking care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I encourage all the listeners, if you know of a beautiful woman in your life that is in this age range that may be either experiencing this time of life or is about to, I really encourage you to share this video and information about this event, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.